What makes a good partner is trust. And you'll hear that all the time, but you really have to have blind trust. Blind trust being that if I'm not with you or around you, I don't have to worry about what you're doing.
All right, what's up, everyone? I'm super excited to be joined here today with my buddy Logan Graff, one of the partners of Crest Exteriors in Texas and beyond. What's up, Logan?
What's happening, man? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad we put it together. We were messaging each other on Facebook there on Sunday afternoon, I think, and I think we had some of that New Year energy, and we're like, yeah, man, let's do it. So I'm glad we got it on the calendar, and we're making it happen. So there's a few different avenues I want to go down today, and I know we got some questions from some of our buddies on Facebook as well. But let's start out by giving those people that don't know who you are a little bit of an overview on you and Crest Exteriors and what you guys are up to.
Excellent. Well, for starters, thanks again for having me. We're excited about the new year and getting things kicked off. So I appreciate you squeezing me into the calendar. So for starters, my name's Logan Graff. I was born in Evansville, Indiana. I reside in Prosper, Texas. Myself and my partner, Sam Struthers, own and operate Crest Exteriors. We are headquartered in Plano, Texas. We do business and have a physical office in Florida, Colorado, a couple in Louisiana. We're doing some stuff in Alabama as well. So the majority of our time is spent in those 4 and 5 states. My title at the company is Vice President of Sales and Operations. So I get to oversee the sales team, all of the operations of the business from lead to commission as a customer comes in the door and gets taken care of, as well as all of the fun things that go on within our business. And believe me, there's a lot of them. So there's a lot of things that I get to do on a daily basis that not only keep me motivated, but it keeps me on my toes as well.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So it sounds like you do a lot. Does Sam do anything or?
He just comes in and plays golden tee and high fives everyone and keeps everybody pumped up. No, man, he's the backbone of the operation. That was one of the questions that came up on the Facebook, and we can talk about that a little bit later about partnerships. Him and I have a very unique partnership. It's one of the coolest things that I've ever done in my life in reference to business. We can dive into that here in a little bit, but a few people out there in the marketplace know who we are. We've been in business a little over 5 years now. We've been fortunate with some good weather to give us opportunities, and then we've been able to execute with those opportunities and make a lot of friends along the way. So that's the rough draft version of me at Crest Exteriors.
Yeah. You guys have definitely made a splash in the past 5 years, and I've gotten to know you and Sam a little bit, which has been cool. And man, I mean, you guys seem to be growing like crazy, seem to be having a lot of fun, hiring good people. It seems like you guys are always on the road. So I'm sure that there's been mistakes and challenges along the way, but you're doing a lot of things right, it seems.
One or two mistakes, 1 or 2 challenges for sure.
Every hour. So yeah, I mean, growing into several states in 5 years, that's not normal for a new startup roofing company. Can you kind of pinpoint a couple of the variables that have been the catalyst for making that happen over the years?
Certainly. So Sam started the business by himself. I got into this industry by accident, believe it or not. And his initial startup started here in Plano, Texas. And with the help of a little bit of weather and some motivation and some drive for him is how Crest was created, with some of his closer friends that were working with him direct. And he had visions of wanting to live in Colorado later on in life and really enjoyed going up there. He has several hobbies that he can take the family on to, including, hunting and enjoying the mountains. So I believe that's where the name was formatted, from the mountain logo. And shortly after the Plano office was open, with his background in adjusting, he kind of followed storms around the country and knew that the greater Denver area was another, high volume area for hail. So that was the target on the very next location. So with some hailstorms in the summer of 16 or summer of 17 is when we expanded into Colorado. Made some good relationships and friendships with some people that turned into staff members, and that branch has been blossoming. Next was other branches within Texas, East Texas and South Texas. And then following that was Florida. Florida's a whole different beast. I think anybody who's been in this business long enough knows what I'm talking about. It still makes me nervous every time I talk about roofing in Florida, just because of it's a totally different animal there. So again, that yielded some relationships with employees and team members that we were able to bring onto the team that were familiar with those areas and able to generate some business. Last but not least, Louisiana. Just last year, we chased a storm out in Bossier City in April and went through the process of getting licensed, did it fairly quickly. And we had a little bit more education and experience to be able to get that done and get licensed and all that stuff. And then that yielded into the unfortunate hurricanes that just demolished Louisiana. And so now we're in both of those cities, Lake Charles and in Bossier, with brick and mortar and sales teams and productivity there. So that's the fast forwardness of the history of our branches and the expansion.
All right, awesome. And would you mind sharing numbers, like where you guys have gotten to in terms of revenue per year? Or
Sure. Yeah, I don't mind sharing that. In 2019, we were recognized on the top 100 for just shy of 33 million in revenue. Last year being a rough year, we thought we were going to struggle, and we crossed over and tied that number. So we were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat last year and experience. Man, I call it luck. Hard work and opportunity meet together, and you get lucky. And a little bit of blessings from God. So we were able to match that number again. And we've got our target set on 40 to 50 this year.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2020 was obviously a crazy year. Don't need to really get into it more than that. But the fact you guys are able to match the previous year and continue to set yourself up for growth is pretty incredible.
Well, the credit goes to the team, and I say that with no shame, and not just to say it to make them feel good, but our team is relentless. They're constantly bringing ideas and scenarios to us and asking to be able to execute. And if we sit down and format things properly, the older we get in business, the better our decision making becomes, just because we all learn from our faults and learn from our mistakes. So I have to give all the credit to the team. I could tell you for hours about some of the war stories about getting out there and drumming up business and finding business and then executing that business and making it perfect. But we don't have enough time for that. So the team deserves all the credit for the processes that we've put in place. They're the ones out there executing those processes and shooting holes in them. And they bring us directly and indirectly, they bring back results that we can all see. And our goal as leaders and owners of this company is to solve problems in every arena of the business. And it's been fun. Looking forward to another crazy year.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think a lot of people will get some value out of understanding maybe a little bit how you intentionally foster that culture of team members bringing ideas to you guys as owners and wanting to, take ownership of those ideas, those initiatives, those opportunities, instead of just showing up every day, knocking on doors, selling roofs, producing roofs, they're actually like entrepreneurial and bringing stuff to you. Is that something you guys intentionally cultivate?
We do. And I'm glad you said that, because the transition for most people into a 1099 position, if they haven't done that for the majority of their adult career, it can be challenging. When you go from a W-2 work environment where you have a steady paycheck, and then even in areas where you can make commission as well, there's a security blanket and a level of comfort that comes with knowing on payday your paycheck's going to be there. When you go into a 1099 environment where it's commission only and it takes 30, 60, 90 days to turn a deal, that can be that can mess with the mind. That can cause negativity. It can cause distractions in so many different ways. And I'm a firm believer that if someone's distracted, you're never going to get their full ability out there. So with all of the policies that we have in place and the strategies that we have in place, it takes away that negative thought. It takes away that timidness that a new person may have. When they have questions, we have answers, then they can feel confident and go execute, all the way from prospecting and creating leads to sitting down with customers and getting ink on paper, to building the job, performing the job, getting everybody paid, dealing with the insurance process. And then lastly, the most important part of sales, collecting the money and getting paid. So that's our goal. And the culture is created that way by keeping a high energy environment. We don't allow negativity. We don't tolerate negativity. If someone has a matter that is of substance and they need to discuss it, we're wide open, whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the evening. Our phones ring and we answer them. That's the difference that I can say in most is we're not an 8 to 5 place. These folks are relying on us to have a vehicle they can ride in to make money and build a career. We've got to be there to help steer that ship. And so that's one of the goals of our culture, is just making sure that it's an open door policy. It's an open book. I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but being able to have a relationship with every team member within your business. And I'm not just talking about the salespeople, that's only one portion of the business. You got to have sales to have a business. But in our company, we have over 15 different administrative positions outside of sales that make this machine work. And those people are human as well. And they need TLC. They need hugs and kisses. They need to know that they're cared for. They need to know that if they have an issue, they can communicate with us about it. And so we're a firm believer in culture. That's the first thing. The sales will come, the business will come. But if you don't have people on your team that are willing to participate with you because they don't get along with this or that, then it's very tough to have a business.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's that transition into 1099 sales is definitely challenging. I've never done it personally, but knowing the roofing industry intimately, it's a big challenge, attracting and retaining top people, and that can really be the hindrance to a lot of companies' growth. Right? They just don't have the people. So it seems like you guys are focused on that professional development, of course, like training for the skill sets, the jobs, selling, building, collecting, as our buddy Anthony Delmenica would say, sell, build, collect. Sure. But also that personal development, right? And being there for them and helping them develop into leaders and people. Did you have a background in that, or like where did that come from?
Yeah, funny story. I was in the collection agency business for 15 years before I got into roofing. And a lot of people have an immediate thought about collection agencies. Oh, don't call me. Ha. Everybody's run across a scenario where they had to deal with a collection agency or heard somebody that has or not. But the type of collection agency that I worked for was a commercial collection agency for 10 years from the year 2000 until 2010. I worked for two different agencies focusing on commercial debt collection, B2B. We would call ABC Supply and solicit them to place, the roofing company for collections that wasn't paying their bill. Any industry, if they were exchanging a product or service and allowing terms for that product or service and the customer didn't pay, that was a potential prospect for us in that industry. So I was on the inside sales part of those businesses, contacting CEOs, CFOs, directors of credit, VPs of finance, and pitching them about their bad debt. And it's no secret, just taking our industry for an example, high ticket items, people get cash flow problems, priority lists change, and whoever's barking the loudest is who's getting paid. Well, our job was to go make sure our client was at the top of that priority list. So it was a commission-based job. It was a W-2 payroll, but there was opportunities for high commissions. I advanced in that industry. I'm pretty good on the telephone. I consider myself to be a good communicator, whether it's in person or over the phone. And that's a good talent that yielded me some success into this industry. In 2010, I had started my own collection agency and ended up selling it to a business in Richardson, Texas, where I operated as VP of sales there for 5 years. And I'll fast forward this. At the end of 5 years, we agreed to go different ways. I had a non-compete that I had to bridge. And so I called my good friend Sam, who had always been successful in the adjusting world. I knew he had just started a roofing company. And I said straight up, hey, man, I need a job and I need this much money a month. And it's just for a year. I need you to help me out. You know what he said?
What?
I can't do it, man. I just started a company. I can't pay you that. Are you crazy? But if you want to come sell some roofs for me, come on. And I was like, well, shit, how do you sell a roof? Show me. I didn't even know what a pipe jack was. Okay. And I say that with all due respect. I didn't know that. It should be motivating for anybody if they heard this story. You don't have to know anything about that. All you have to do is be willing to learn so that you can earn. So he hired me on straight commission to sell. We got blessed with a good storm, April of 2016, Wiley, Texas, the softball size hail, hail as big as my fist, blasting through roofs. And that was about after 10 days of me starting with Sam. He did train me on what a pipe jack was. He did train me on what a roof system consisted of. And I knew enough to be able to climb a ladder, get on a roof and see if it had a bunch of black spots on it. And when that storm came through, that's what it looked like. You didn't have to go searching for the hail, but I succeeded in the first 9 months or so that I was in the business in sales, and then moved into a management role pretty quickly. We had attracted a lot of salespeople that were in the Metroplex. DFW is huge, and we're from here, so we had a good network of friends and family, and so that eventually yielded into my non-compete expiring from the collections game, and I went to Sam around Christmas time and told him, hey, don't forget I'm leaving in March and I'm going to go start a new collection agency. And he said, no, you're not. Let's make a deal. So we put a deal together, and, I couldn't be happier. I haven't looked back since. I really had a passion for the collections business. I did it a very long time. There was something to be said about, making somebody pay their bill for the product or the service that they took from my client. It was a personal thing. And it was rewarding, and not only monetarily, but it was rewarding because you build relationships with people. And there was the opportunities in that industry when you do business the right way. It's through the roof, no pun intended. But working with Sam and getting into a different atmosphere of business and taking the experience that I had, it blended well with our company. For the main reason is I'm really good at collecting money. And, that's a hard task in the roofing business is getting your hands on that final check.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a key asset. It's funny how like all these different paths during our lives, just kind of come together, and we're able to grab different lessons that we've gotten along the way to help us where we're at.
For sure, man. And I don't know how it happened. It just did. And we're sitting here having our beginning of the year meetings this week. And we're kind of looking back how it went. It's gone by really fast, 5 years in business and 4 years together as partners. He brings so much to the table. I learn from him on a daily basis. I feel comfortable saying that he learns from me on a daily basis too. And then we learn from our team. It's just a good gel, man. And we can get to those other questions on that Facebook here in a little bit, but let's keep moving forward.
Yeah, well, let's jam on that a little bit while we're there. The whole partnership thing. It's no secret in the roofing industry, a lot of partnerships don't work out. Probably in business in general, a lot of partnerships don't work out. And our friends Justin Dant, Soderberg Roofing in Colorado, and Austin Davis of the Roofing Center in Utah and also Colorado now, they were both asking about partnerships and like what are some of the dynamics there, the pluses, the minuses, how you guys like split roles and ideas and responsibilities. I'm sure that we can do a whole 8-hour episode on that, but can you break that down for us, what that looks like at Crest?
Sure. So Sam started the business. He started it with his own money, no investors, no silent partners. He had made he was in a very good career and was very responsible with his previous careers. And so when he was getting Crest started, it was 100% his. And when we got to the point where I was going to go back to the collections game, it kind of went unspoken that, hey, we're going to have to do some type of deal that's worthy for both of us. And I was very much interested in not only learning more and earning more, but also, putting some skin in the game. A lot of people out there want to get equity in a business, or they want to be given equity. I learned from the term sweat equity, sweat equity being you put in the work and that's how you earn it. And really that's how everything should be in every business. So we spent a year together doing business together as 1099 and contracting company for simple terms. I was a contract salesperson for Crest Exteriors, and I was signing up roofs to be replaced and earning a commission based on the bottom dollar. And so I got educated on that part of the business very well. And along the way was able to point out some flaws in the business, like every business has. Not that they were doing something wrong, but that, hey, we need a process for this. We need a process for that. I'd go to him and say, hey, what is our process, or what are we supposed to do when the insurance company doesn't want to pay this? What are we supposed to do that? And he would share with me, oh, well, there's this thing called appraisal, or, we can get a lawyer involved, or we can crosstalk it with a supplement company. There's all those different types of scenarios. So I said, hey, look, man, let's put a deal together. I would like to run sales and operations, and I want you to stay on the front side, being the CEO, making sure that we stay licensed, that we have all the credentials. You handle all the banking, 100% of the finances. And Joe, I tell you this, people think I'm crazy when I say it. I don't look at our bank balance. I don't look at the bank account. I don't talk to the controller. I don't pay attention to that stuff because it's not my responsibility. My partner does it. There's never been a flaw in it. There's never been a reason for me to question his integrity. And therefore that trust factor was built. It was partially built because we were friends before we got into business together. It was also partially built because of the experience that we had together as contractor, working for contractor. Some of the important things like commission day is this day. Great. Here's your commission check. Your commission amount was this. Great. Here's the amount to the T. Never a, hey, I need to wait till Friday, or, hey, I'll pay you half now and half later. None of that nonsense that unfortunately goes on. So that built the core of our partnership, in my opinion. The rest of it has blossomed through trial and error. It's blossomed through, chasing down storms right here in DFW in a very busy and competitive market, and chasing down marketing strategies, finding what works, what doesn't work, trying different things, and reinvesting into our company. Both of us made a pretty good living before we were in this business. We weren't rich. Obviously, we're still working, but we made a good enough living where we were financially responsible enough to not just get a really nice paycheck and go blow it on the weekends. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's done that a time or two and had fun with the money. You should enjoy your earnings when you can. But our goals, he's a little more disciplined with that than I am, but we would always save, and we would always plan for the future. And if we have a good year, we're socking something away so we can go do something similar to what we were able to do last year. Go chase 2 or 3 major storms in a market we've never been in before. Those come with their challenges in its own. So what makes a good partner is trust. And you'll hear that all the time, but you really have to have blind trust. Blind trust being that if I'm not with you or around you, I don't have to worry about what you're doing or what you're not doing. I know that you're getting the work done. I'm really good at checking emails and following up with customers. He's really good at making sure that we stay legal and that we're licensed and that all of our bills are being paid and the finances are in line. I'm really good at taking the guys out and keeping them pumped up or getting them excited or coaching them through a troubled time. He's really good at making the office staff feel good and welcomed. And then we blend with so many different things. And, we're not perfect at all of it. We've made some mistakes. We've lost a few good people over time, but we've also created some people that weren't in this industry before. We've created some monsters with that. We're very grateful for that. So I think what's solidified our partnership is the transparency with each other, the communication with each other. We know what our roles are. We try to outperform each other with our roles on a consistent basis, not for a measurement stake, but just knowing that, hey, we're the speed of the leaders, the speed of the pack. And so we try to stay on top of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I can definitely echo that. I had a business partner for a few years as well in contractor dynamics, and that dissolved amicably, but we had full transparency into the financials, into like every aspect of the business. And we each had our different roles and responsibilities, but there was, number one, that transparency there. And number two, we had that trust. Like, we knew each other for a few years before we entered that partnership. And we just knew, sometimes it takes that experience and relationship, and sometimes a gut feeling, knowing that someone, really has the business's best interest at heart. They're ethical and honest, and they operate with integrity. So absolutely essential. And unfortunately, that's not the case with many partnerships. So
it's sad too, because it takes more time and effort to do things the wrong way than it does to do them the right way and lick your wounds. One of the other comments on the post today from Justin Dant was that the right partner, there's always more room for expansion and success. And it is hard to find that that partner. I can't give advice on how to go out and find the partner because I've only had two partners. One is my wife. She's my partner. And the second is Sam. He's my business partner. And so one other thing is you can't spend too much time on one topic. When you're in business, whether you have a partner or not, you have to make decisions, make them fast, and move forward. And some people would say, oh, you should slow down and make calculated decisions. I agree with that your decisions should be calculated. Most of the decisions in business that you're going to have to make, they're going to be duplicate decisions, meaning you've made a decision on a scenario that happened and it worked out good. You made the same decision on another scenario, it didn't work out so good. So then you can go dissect those scenarios and find out what the real right decision was, so that the next time you're making the better decision. So we make decisions quickly as partners. We try not to beat around the bush. Again, we don't tolerate negativity. If somebody has a problem, we want to fix it right then, not just kick the can. And when it comes to expansion and growing the business, you can't be scared to try it. There's one reason of being scared is the end result could be bad, but the only reason you should ever be scared is if you don't know where you're going. Like if GPS didn't work and you don't know how you're physically going to get down there, chasing Hurricane Harvey in 2000, was that 17? Yeah.
16, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That was our first big venture where we thought we were big enough and bad enough to go chase a storm, outside of our area. People used to say we just got lucky because it hails all the time in DFW. Well, it hasn't hailed here in 3 years, so no big deal. But you can't be scared in business to go out and expand and make decisions. You're going to learn one way or the other. It's going to be expensive. You're going to make some mistakes. All those things up front. So you got to pull the trigger and move forward. So to answer Justin's question, man, I don't have any advice on how to find the right partner, but when you capture someone and you think that would be, you got to be like-minded. You got to have goals in mind for long-term. You got to have vision. You got to have a go get 'em attitude. You got to be positive. You got to be able to be vocal to your team, stand up in a crowd and communicate. And those are just some tidbits of what goes on. It's a daily thing too. There is no time off. Yeah, we got time off for the holidays, but him and I run this company and we have, close to 100 people on the team, plus their families of 3, 4, 5 apiece. So virtually we go to sleep and wake up responsible for 400 or 500 people. You don't have much of a choice. You either do it or you don't. There's no in between. So that's our thought process on that.
That's a cool way to look at it. And that really, I think helps you, level, just maintain focus on those decisions. Like you're making those decisions as business owners, as partners, but there's several hundred people that are affected by those decisions that you make. So, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And it's every day, and I don't want to put this publicly on the street, but it's not until you see one of your close friends, family members, team members going through some turmoil that it kind of hits you in the heart. For me and Sam, that kind of motivates us to work harder, get better, do things, more aggressively or do things better, whatever the case may be. Everybody's going to have hard times in their life. It's not about that. It's about what are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
One of my old bosses in the collections business used to tell me, tough times go away, tough people don't.
Nice.
And if you're tough and you can get through, rejection and you can get through all the drama that goes on just in regular life, then business isn't really so bad. Life is tougher than business. Business, there's always a solution. Life, it's like, I don't know. You just got to move on to the next day and keep a smile on your face.
Yeah, man. Perspective helps. I found myself in that position earlier this morning. I was up pretty early and just working on some projects that I needed to catch up on. And I was kind of, you get in that point where you're almost like feeling bad for yourself. You're like, man, why am I up at 3:30 in the morning, like doing this? Like this sucks. And like, I can't believe I'm in this position. But then you think about it, like, yeah, I'm dealing with like a couple of like Facebook campaigns or websites. Like in the scheme of things, come on, like really, that's what you're complaining about? Like, get a grip.
Right. I understand. I can relate to that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, that kind of staying positive, being there for others, supporting your team. one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the reasons that we're talking, is because we started talking about, some of the inspirational, I almost said motivational, but you don't motivate other people, you inspire them to get motivated. A lot of that out on social media. And I think going back to Justin Dent, I meant to mention this, like if you're potentially looking to attract a partner, link up with someone who might be like-minded, I think that social media is one way to do that, is to build your platform, put yourself out there, get your content out there, and you're going to kind of get in the orbit of like-minded people and potentially build those partnerships, or bring on salespeople, bring on team members, partnerships, JVs, and things like that. But that doesn't really happen as easily if you're kind of operating in a vacuum. So getting out there, like you have, Logan, I think that's awesome. Where has that, the Logan slogans, like where has that come from, and what's the deal with that?
I'll share that. I appreciate you asking. So for a long time, ever since I got on Facebook, and I Time Hop is my favorite app. I don't know if you have it, but Time Hop is an app that you can download and you can register it with whatever social medias that you have, and it'll show you what you posted a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. So I still see that. I think I've been on Facebook 12 or 13 years. And when I first got on it, what I consistently immediately noticed is that people are just out there airing out their dirty laundry. Mm-hmm. The silly post that OMG, I can't even believe it. And then that was just the post. And it's like, that person's just looking for, it's misery loves company. And I was like, I can't handle people like that in my life. I was already working in an industry where everybody I was talking to on the phone was a liar. Somebody owed money, or one of my clients was telling me that they didn't have any bad accounts. And we all know that's not possible. So I was surrounded with negativity in so many different ways indirectly that I had to force myself to constantly think positive and to think about the long-term results, the big results, the end results. And so over the last 20 years, I've trained my brain, and I wish I could train the rest of my body as well as I've trained my brain. But I've trained my brain to not process negativity and to only think positively. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a robot. That doesn't mean that, I don't cry, or I don't have times when I could get sad about something. Heck, you ask my wife, Lindsay, her and I can watch a movie. We'll both be in tears if it's good enough. We're not afraid to show our emotions. But I was surrounded with so much negativity that I couldn't stand it and I wouldn't tolerate it. And at times I had read books and met with coaches, and they all had similar suggestions about getting anything that's negative out of your life if you're wanting to get to a certain goal. And so I was able to train my brain with that. And how I started with that, believe it or not, is just posting something positive and inspiring, like you stated, or motivating first thing in the morning. So I made that a goal. 1 year, I wrote it down. Every day I'm going to post something motivating. And after about 2 months, it was just habitual. Every day, first thing on my mind. Some days I wake up with it and it's literally, I can't type it fast enough. And then other days, I need to get up and drink a glass of water first, maybe take a shower and think about it, because I don't want to be repetitive. But that stuff comes to my mind. I'm gifted with that from God, I believe, the way to just be able to come up with those things. And so that yielded into, daily posts. And then friends and people in my social media network would communicate back to me when I would see them, at a football game or on the weekend or something. Hey man, I love your posts. You keep doing it. That's awesome. I'm like, that's great. And I posted a month or so ago about when you're out there sharing good content, it doesn't necessarily mean how many people like it or comment, because you don't know who all you're reaching. I've ran into some people that I haven't seen in a very long time. They don't interact on social, but they say one thing: hey man, I love your content. You pump me up. Keep doing that. So for me, that was rewarding, inspiring. I kept doing it. We brought that same energy to Crest. Sam came up with the Crest hustle one day. That language, we were worn out one day. We were like, man, we hustled today hard. And he said to me, yeah, Crest hustle. And I said, we need to go with that. And literally we got a federal trademark on it for the hashtag. And that's our gig. Hashtag Crest hustle. Everybody knows that. So that positivity is contagious. It's as contagious as cancer. And unfortunately, so is negativity. So what do they do with cancer? They cut it out. If you have negativity in your life, you have to cut it out. So fast forwarding 15 years or so, 8 or 10 years or so, I met a guy in the industry named Latif. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, great guy. He's got a lot of experience in our industry, does a lot of pretty cool things. Had the pleasure of meeting with him on many occasions. We've had dinner, drinks, cocktails. I've been to his place in Mexico. We've hung out. Very good guy. I consider him a good friend of mine. One day I posted, somebody was like, "Oh, you should brand that somehow." And I was like, "I don't know. What should I call it?" And Latif is responsible for the name. I'll give him the credit. He said, "You should call it Logan Slogans." And that freaking stuck. And that was about 2 years ago. And so, one day I was like, "Oh man, that kind of sounds a little bit corny." And I was like, "I'll stop that head trash. It sounds fine. Doesn't matter. It's all about the content, not the name." And so I toyed around with it in my head for a couple of months, and then it got backburnered. And just this last year, with all of the stuff that was going on in 2020, I found more of a, kind of sounds silly, Joseph. I found more of a calling that I need to put out more content, because there's more people out there that are, losing their jobs and getting sick and having family members that were affected by, all the stuff 2020 dealt with. So I started doing more and more and more. Then I started looking into, how, if I can't just be a poser. I can't just say this stuff a couple of days and then fall off for, a few months and still expect people to be inspired. So that yielded into getting a federal trademark for the hashtag Logan Slogan, so that nobody else can use that, so that it's mine. I own it. That took me better part of 9 months to get done.
Wow.
Through the court system, through my attorney, and through coronavirus and all that stuff. I signed up with the attorney to get that processed, like in February, and it was almost at the end. And then, the shutdowns took place, and it took almost 9 months to get it. So that kind of got delayed. In the meantime, I have been able to, create a little bit of apparel, search out some vendors to help me with the website, and some of the networks that I'm involved in. One of them is the Apex Entourage with my friend Ryan Stuman. He's got some really good people in there that have helped me tremendously, guide me in the right direction on what to do, outline the steps of making it a business. It is a business, but it doesn't generate any revenue. As of 2020, it is a business. But my goals for Logan Slogans in the future are very simple. I want to get in front of people and talk. And I thought some of the easiest ways to do that, and probably very, very good ways to get the message across to some people with some open ears, was to target some troubled youth homes, or even find my way into a prison and talk to some people. Number one, they're not going to pay me, so I don't have to ask them for any money. I figured it would be an easy way for me to get out and practice speaking in public. I've done a couple speaking things at April's SRC Summit, once or twice at the SVG thing. Nothing compared to you, bro, and nothing compared to some of the other people out there that speak. But that's something that I strive to do. So I went all in on that last year and decided, I'm going to make it a thing. I want to give back to the community as best that I can. I don't have a lot to offer in the regards to physical items, but I want to get in somebody's head, because I had a coach when I was young that got in my head, and I can still remember things that he taught me about staying positive and finishing things. My father used to always tell me, if you're going to start something, you have to finish it, whether it's building a Pinewood Derby car, or whittling a whistle out of a piece of wood, or, building a bunk bed, or putting a bicycle together, whatever it was. They were always on me. If you're going to start something, you got to finish it. And I think the same goes in business. And so that's my motivation for 2021. I want to get in front of 5 to 10 either troubled youth homes or prisons, and just talk to people and tell them a little bit about me, and give them some hope. And you know what? If that yields to some other events where I can speak in public, great. That's cool too. But that's where it's came from, man. And that's where it's at today.
That's really cool, man. I love that. It's, hey, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So you don't have to have the whole journey planned out, but that sounds like a great start.
I'm looking forward to whatever opportunities it may bring.
Yeah. Spread that positivity. I recently read a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
Bronnie Ware, she was like a palliative care nurse. So she spent a lot of time with older people, and she wrote this book about the top regrets that the dying have. But one of the parts that came before that in her book was that she was a musician, and she went around to prisons and taught prisoners, female prisoners, to create music and write lyrics and things like that, and had a huge impact. And that stuck with me. So really, really cool what you're doing there.
Thanks, man. Like I said, I just like getting it out there. We host sales meetings with our team. We used to host them weekly until COVID came out, or at least 2 or 3 times a month, where we could all get in a room together. And I don't just talk because I enjoy to hear myself speak. I like to get people engaged and make their brain think. If you ever go talk to little children, I have a 6-year-old Catherine and 9-year-old Cole, and their minds are crazy. They'll stop and actually listen to you. Adults get so busy, sometimes it's hard to get them to actually listen and pay attention for longer periods of time. But when you can get in front of like-minded people and get them to open up their brains to what the possibilities are, especially in business and in sales and in commission earning arenas, man, that lights a fire, and it gets them pumped up, and they get inspired and they get motivated. And in return, they get to see a yield and a reward at the end of that. And that's one of the biggest things we enjoy here at Crest is commission day. I love paying the commissions because people earn it. They work their butts off to get it. Kind of got sidetracked there, but
no, man, it all starts with mindset. Totally. One of my good friends, Nicole, is starting out in her nutrition coaching business, and she's a CrossFit coach and nutrition coach, and she's badass at what she does, and she's just working on having that belief in herself and having the right mindset to believe that she can go out there and build her own thing. And that's something that we all struggle with, regardless of how much experience we have. We have that imposter syndrome that maybe we're not good enough, or we don't belong in this circle or this crowd or on this stage or wherever. But it really all does start with mindset.
Sure. One of my favorite sales trainers and authors is Zig Ziglar. He's so old school, and his methods are so old school, but they couldn't be more prevalent than they are today. And what I mean by that is one of his famous quotes is, motivation is like bathing. It's required daily. You got to get it every day, man, because there's going to be something that triggers you no matter what. There's going to be something that takes you off of your path in the course of a day. And that could be before your day even gets started. We have pets. I don't know if you ever woke up and, the dog peed on the floor and it's still dark and you stepped in it. That could trigger you to have a bad day. Or you could come outside and your truck has a flat tire, or you could get cut off on the highway, or a fender bender. All those things can trigger you throughout a day and take you off your course, but you have to be able to bounce back from that. It goes back to what we mentioned earlier about making fast decisions. You got to be able to make a decision. You're going to be in a bad mood or a good mood today. Which one is it going to be? Make your mind up and decide. If you're going to be in a bad mood, you're going to have more problems that come up. If you want to take that and just brush your shoulders off, then you're gonna get to the next steps and the next obstacles quicker, and you can overcome them, learn more, produce more for your life, and just have a good life, man. We only have one to live, and I've only found that positivity is the way to be. I haven't ever met someone that's super negative all the time that's living their best life. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree. That resilience is so key, because there's going to be problems, there's going to be challenges, mistakes, and things like that. The faster that we can process that, learn from it, and move on, the better. And that comes with experience. So resilience is one of the things I focus on. On that note, talking about, setting yourself up for the day and everything like that, you're obviously running a pretty big business and multiple locations spread throughout the country rather. And you've got a family. Do you have any best practices for prioritizing family and business and everything that's important?
That's a good question. If you ask my wife, she would say no. Last year, I was able to get a little bit better at that, because I would find myself, the first one in the office a little bit before 7, and before I know it, it's 7:00 at night, and oh shoot, I need to go home. And I have little kids, so that's very important to me. They are the most important, the three of them, Cole, Kate, and my wife, Lindsay. So I've focused and written some goals down as of just 2 weeks ago, getting ready for the new year, about having more of a formed out day. But my day usually consists of waking up. I set an alarm for 5:30. If I'm tired, I'll go back to sleep for a little bit. If I'm excited, I'll get right up and get out of bed. I've gotten more relaxed to do that, not because I can or my business has allowed me to do that, but it's because if I'm tired, I don't function as well as I should. So
same here.
I try to move forward until I'm tired. When I'm tired, I rest. And when I'm not tired anymore, I'll get up and go. And most of the time that works out well for me. We just came off of a break where we had the most amount of days off as a company that we've had since we opened. And with about 6 days left to come back from the break, I was stir crazy. So I was able to get up and start doing some other things. But my schedule varies based on if we're traveling to one of the other offices or not. When I'm traveling, it's sun up to sundown there because the team needs help and there's always stuff to do. Same at the business here in Plano. There's always something to do. I'm grateful for that. But to get back focused on your question, yes, I have a schedule. I keep a calendar through Google. I also keep a work calendar, and then I sync them together. Google's for my personal stuff, appointments with the kids, whether it's soccer game, dentist appointment, open house. And then obviously the business things are for every other business meeting. One thing that Grant Cardone taught me when I read his book is I don't like empty space on the calendar. But then the other half of me being a human, being natural, I'm like, dang it. Some days I'm running with my tongue hanging out. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
So I keep a full schedule. We have a business schedule on what days we do X, Y, and Z, like cap outs and pay material bills and check on this and check on that. But for the most part, I try to respect my family and be home for dinner and, see them off to bed and spend time with them on the weekends. Those things are important. Those years go quick. And of a father of two young children, I don't have all the experience of those that have children that are out of the house, but my wife and I know that day is coming and we don't want it to be anytime soon. So I think part of my focus is family oriented, but Crest holds a big chunk of my family mentality as well. If this business isn't successful, my family life is not successful. So the priority of Crest almost supersedes the priority of my family because this is the way that we support our families. So I give both of them a ton of effort, and I'm not afraid to say I could give both of them more.
Yeah. So you said your kids are 6 and 9.
Yes.
Our kids are 5 and 8, so we're very similar. And yeah, I mean, I know there's most people in the roofing industry work more hours than I do. I definitely put in my hours and work hard. I'm not scared of that, but I do make sure that those things are in the calendar. Those things are important. And when I come home from the office at night, and you see how much the kids they want to hang out, they want that attention, and wife too. It just reminds you of how necessary that is. And my wife and I talk about it all the time. Our son is 8 and it's like, well, we've got 10 more years and he's gone. It's we think about that all the time and try not to take that for granted at all. So right along the same lines there, man.
And one other thing on that, one thing we added to the calendar this year is dinner with the family on Sunday nights, no matter what. If I'm in town, no matter what, dinner with the family. If we want other people to join, cool. But we're having dinner as a family on Sunday nights. And every other Wednesday is going to be game night. And then every other Thursday is date night. So we've put that in the calendar, and tomorrow's Thursday, tonight's Wednesday, first Wednesday of the new year. So we're playing games tonight. And that's another thing about when you're setting these goals and having these ideas, execution is important. And we could have a whole other podcast about, responsibility and staying the course with those things. But back to that, that's one of the things that I've been able to self-identify with and realize that I wasn't spending enough time at home with the family because we were working on the business. So that's definitely something that I'll keep my eyes on moving forward.
Yeah, there's always going to be more work to do. We could always work 24 hours if we really had to or wanted to, or we didn't require sleep, but we've got to draw those boundaries, and we've got to create leverage by bringing on a team that can take ownership and lead and be able to help us out. So it's not just all, everything's not on our shoulders. Yes. Cool. Thanks for sharing that personal aspect. I mean, it's so crucial, whether you're at 33 million a year or you're just starting out, that stuff is so important to be intentional about what you want, what's important, what your boundaries are, holding yourself accountable. Like you said, executing on those priorities and those goals. Super key, super important. And the cool thing is that when you execute on those and you have that I don't want to use the word balance, but when you're optimizing all those areas of your life, your health, your personal development, your family life, your business, sleep, everything is better as a result. Like I've been through those seasons where I'm like, all right, we're slammed for the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to let my health go. I'm just going to work. And the product of that work is not very high quality, right? Because you don't have all those other pieces in place. So
yeah,
I think that's something.
When you're tired, you gotta eat, you gotta rest.
Yeah, I guess that's a couple. You're 40, right?
41.
41. All right.
41.
I'm 40. So yeah, a couple of guys with experience. Maybe the 23-year-olds will disagree, but man, thanks for sharing. That is so cool. Whether it's on the personal note or on the business note, I'm sure there's a million things you could share. You could probably write a book about it. You could probably have your own YouTube channel about it. But someone who is getting into the roofing industry or who has been in the industry and is kind of struggling and feeling stuck, do you have like a general kind of piece of advice for them?
Yes. Stay the course, especially in January. The winter months and the early months of the year tend to be the toughest. This is the time for planning, strategizing, and setting up scheduling and acting as if you're already busy and the storm is here. One of the biggest failures that I've seen from guys in this industry is that they give up too soon. And sometimes it's literally one day too soon or 1 week too soon or 1 month too soon. We just don't know. Stay the course. If you're having tough times, keep going. If you're having good times, keep going. That's the main thing that everybody could do. Not only in our industry, but in every industry. Whether you're brand new and you're starting out and you were like me and you didn't know what a pipe jack was, or if you've been doing this for a long time and you're just in a rut or something like that, keep going. Get back to the basics and focus on what makes you money and what makes you happy, and stick with it. Don't give up. Stay positive. Logan Slogans.
Logan Slogans, hashtag. Speaking of which, is that website live yet, or where can we follow more?
It's not live. It'll be live on the 11th. I met with Trevor Young yesterday, my website guy. He's here local in DFW, great guy, and he's waiting on me. Believe it or not, I got a few more pieces of content that I have to get him so that we can go all the way live on it. As soon as it is, man, I'll share it with you. And I appreciate the love and the support, man. It means the world to me.
Yeah, of course. And that URL is loganslogans.com or?
Yes, sir. I got the .com.
So yeah, this episode will be live after the 11th or right around there. So good timing. Good little PR, hopefully. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. And you can also go to crestroof.com, check out what Crest is up to, check out their social medias and all that good stuff. I appreciate you sharing everything, Logan. It's been awesome. I've had a good time. I've learned a few things and enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. Appreciate it.
Hey, my man. You bet. We look forward to seeing you. I'm sure I'll see you at the SRC Summit. And man, always welcome at our office anytime you want to pop in, brother.
All right. Sounds good, man. I will take you up on that. I stay at my buddy's condo in Plano when I go down there. So I love that area. Legacy down there.
Let's go, man. We'll go down there to Legacy West and have lunch, or go out and have a happy hour or something like that. There's lots to do, and they're all open and back up now. So it's good. It's a good time.
All right. I love it. 2021, big things. All right, Logan, take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Joseph. See you later, bud.